She wakes up early Monday morning, drags her bones out of bed, goes across to the mirror to see the image in her head. Oh, this town she lives in has got her back against the wall. Oh, this town she lives in has given her nothing at all. She walks down pavement strewn with memories, and try and grasp at her feet, but she just walks right on through them, hands in pockets buried deep. Oh, this town she lives in long to see better days, but the faces switching through the curtains.
Right, good morning, welcome back. Okay, today, like the title says, new bike in the stable, and it's a 2008 Harley-Davidson Heritage Softail Classic 96B. Now, here on this channel, unlike some, we don't really talk about our personal lives. We don't discuss in any detail how the bikes move in and out of our lives, but this particular bike, it does deserve a little bit of an explanation. So the story starts back in 2013 with a Triumph Scrambler 900. Now, if you watch this channel, you know the bike. There have been numerous projects and jobs and maintenance tasks on that bike. In fact, there's a massive playlist. I'll leave a link to it below so you can enjoy any of the videos on the Triumph Scrambler you like. That bike was with us until last year. And after 11 years, we felt that we'd just gone as far as we could in terms of YouTube videos and had all the fun in the world riding it, and it was time to move it on. So, thanks to a good friend in the motorcycle trade, I was able to do a deal and literally straight exchange it for that wonderful Triumph Rocket 3. Now, if you watch the channel, you saw the Rocket. It came into us in a horrendous state. It only had 3,500 miles, but it had been neglected for half its entire life, sat languishing in a damp barn, and it had corroded terribly. They're not that well protected, the chrome wasn't that best quality, and even some of the paintwork had gone. So after a project that involved nothing more than just repainting and refinishing things so it looked absolutely stunning, I had in the end a really nice bike. And it was going to be a bike that I hoped maybe would be a bike I could keep, I could enjoy, and the two of us could do some touring on. And after a few days out to test that, to see if it would be a good touring bike for the both of us, we both came to the same agreement that it just wasn't for us and not the touring bike that we wanted. So I thought instead, maybe, like with the Scrambler, I could use it as a bike to trade for something that was. And thanks to another very good friend of mine in the motorcycle trade, he had this Heritage Softail in stock with a couple of nasty problems that would have been quite expensive for him to rectify and then put back on sale so he can get the proper price for it. But for me, they're very cheap to rectify. I can do it personally myself. And then I've got a beautiful touring bike, which is far more what I wanted as opposed to the Triumph Rocket. So to sum up where I am at this point, I started out with a Triumph Scrambler I bought 11 years ago. I swapped that for the Triumph Rocket that needed doing up. You saw the projects. And then when it was finished, I swapped that for this bike. So here I am at this point with a Harley-Davidson Heritage Softail Classic for the price of a Triumph Scrambler I bought 11 years ago. What a great way to do it. Now, I have always absolutely loved the Heritage Softail. It's in the name, Heritage. They're reminiscent of the 1950s. They put a few studs on the seats and they put a little bit extra chrome, and the big front end with the 3 lights, they look fantastic. But in my personal view, when people go further and they add aftermarket accessories on top of what the factory puts there, you're in danger of overdressing it and making it look a little bit too much. Now with the studded leather bags and the studs on the seats, plus all of the chrome that these bikes come with as standard, that is enough in my personal view. I think that's good as it is. But when you add chrome, extra bits, and you add studs and extra bits of leather, I think you risk taking it from heritage into being a little bit camp. And dare I say it, if you go too far, they end up a little bit of a Bangkok taxi and it just ruins the look altogether. So my very first task on this bike is going to be to remove some of what I believe to be the unnecessary accessories that it just doesn't need. Now the very first thing, top of the list, is the rider rest. I'm not a great fan of these. I don't particularly like them. I don't enjoy riding with one of these in my back, but I know a lot of you do, so I'm not saying anything wrong with it. It's just personally, I don't like a rider rest, so I want to remove it. Also, if you can imagine riding two up with your pillion sitting in here, this is a metal post that's connected to the chassis. Can you imagine the kind of injuries that that would do to a pillion in a frontal shunt? So for that reason alone, I don't like rider rests, but also I don't like riding with them anyway, so that's coming off straight away. And while I'm at it, because removing that involves stripping the seats off, I'm going to deal with this at the same time. I absolutely don't know what this is. It kind of looks a bit like that leather flap you get on a horse saddle, so I can only assume it's a decorative thing. It doesn't seem to serve any purpose. It's got no pouches in it that hold anything. There's a little keyringy thing there, and it's plastic. Anyway, it's someone else's choice and not mine. So while I've got the seats off, I shall take this thing off at the same time. And there's lots of other stuff as well as those two items. So let's see if we can reveal the 1950s heritage styling hiding underneath this Bangkok taxi. Oh, a little piece of carpet tile, that's always a bit of common sense, I like that. Rubber backing, so nothing's going to get rubbed. What we got? Little battery connection here. That, I believe. Aha, there it is. It's that on the bars. It is. Oh, nice one. It's a little USB port. Ah. 12.8. Battery state as well. Nice. Right, that's really nice. Underneath the battery here is superb. No bodgery, no cut and joined wiring, nothing. There's just two things tabbed directly to the battery. That USB port that's up on the bars and a battery tender. And they're nicely installed as well. Out the way, nothing wrong there. Well, the next thing to remove, and I think you'll all agree, is this. This reminds me of something that the Lord Humongous would wear, and definitely doesn't fit with a bike. Nasty. No. No. These little caps just harbour all the salt and the moisture and rot the end of your axle. and only there for decoration. There. That's better. Isn't that better than all that dry, crusty crap? Now, another little thing I noticed when I rode the bike, if you're going downhill and you're braking, I'm getting clack, 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 tinkle, tinkle. It's this. Previous owners fitted a guardian bell here under the light frame, and it's only 2.5 inches or so above the mudguard, so that's tapping on the mudguard when you're trying to brake. And it's actually peppered the paint as well, so I think we'll have that off. They should go under the frame, but that's someone else's guardian bell anyway, so I'll just take it off. Right, as with all bikes, when you buy them, sometimes they'll have stickers, somebody else's affiliations, their story. Obviously that's not me, so off it comes. Now, we've already proved by taking these little caps off the end of the axle, the little dress caps, that they harbour salt and moisture, and that can only be a bad thing. Well, here's something that I think is doing exactly that, and in a far worse location. It's this plastic dress cover over the regulator rectifier. I hope that's not all corroded underneath there. Let's get it off. Yeah, it's better. Right, now, both these running lights here, they've got like an LED strip design, and they're both a little bit cockeyed, and the peaks on top of them are also a bit cockeyed. So we've got the bike level. Now I should be able to loosen them up and level them up so they're straight, because I'm sure if you're anything like me, that kind of thing's really annoying. That's better. That's better. Little things, eh? Right, bike came to me with a pair of these crash bar pegs, cruise pegs, highway pegs, call them what you like. I never use them. I love the footboards and I leave my feet on the board, so I'll never put my feet on them. So to me, that makes them just clutter. So I'm going to remove them. Lovely. Not a mark. Right, mirrors, underslung. Somebody's mounted them underneath, quite normal. It's an option, many people do it. Some bikes even come like that. Now, mirrors underneath is okay, as long as the most convenient place is underneath. A lot of people put them underneath for looks, because they like the look of them there. Personally, I like them in my eye line. So when I'm scoping right and left, I want the mirrors to be right there, not down here underneath the bars trying to look for them. So a personal choice, no right and wrong. I prefer my mirrors on top, and I'm going to spin them and put them there. Nasty. Ew. Crusty. That's better. Right, there we are. That's the immediate burning things that I had to take off and deal with straight away. Obviously there's a fair amount yet. Now I've looked in the service pack and it's had a few miles since its last service, so it currently needs a fluid service, which is great because I'm going to do all three. We'll do the engine oil, the primary, the gearbox oil, and we'll do the brake fluid as well. It's .4 in this, but it's not an ABS system, so I'll change the entire fluid, front and rear, brakes, and that'll be absolutely fine. I've got to adjust the clutch cable, but we'll adjust the clutch itself when we do the primary oil, so that'll all get done at the same time. But here is the reason why, finally, this bike would not have fetched top money without some intervention at my friend's shop. I'll show you, and it is a typical Harley-Davidson problem. Now, many of you watching are quite probably Harley-Davidson owners, so hands up who's had this with their Harley-Davidson mudguards. Take a look. Bare metal paint flaking off. There we are, right down to the bare metal, and it's rusted. And literally the paint just flakes off like that. And it's not just that one patch. There's another one there. The water's got underneath the paint and it's just blistering it off. Now while I'm just doing this, I spotted underneath the rear light this little gold sticker, like a little spider. Never seen that before. Can anybody out there tell me what that is, what it means, who it signifies? Is that a group of some sort? Let me know in the comments. Have you ever seen that before? And whilst we've still got it there, these extra reflectors that have been stuck on the paint. Right. Here we go, watch. Here we go, that's taking the paint off with it. And that one. And there it is. Just literally flaking away. And it's not just on the very rear end either. I'll show you up the front of the rear mudguard too. There's this bit here as well. Check that out. No, it's not, I'm not going to flip this one off, but it goes all the way around to there, right around there, and up the top. So if I peel this sticker off here, this protective sheet of vinyl, that's going to rip all the paint off down to the metal. It's all the way down there as well. And sadly, it's not just restricted to the rear fender, it's also the front one. We've got it on this side. Big, massive blister just waiting to fall off. There it is, right there. Crunchy. So one scraper and that'll just go 3 or 4 inches square back to bare metal. And here on the front of the badge as well. Right, there we go. So that's the initial declutter, taken off all the extra tack that it didn't need, and I think now it looks a whole lot better for it. And I'm going to enjoy riding it in the interim, but the first thing, as I've already said, is a full fluid service front to back, so we'll be dealing with that in the next video. And let me know what you think on this paintwork. Have you had the same thing? There's no warranty on this bike anymore. It's 17 years old, so it is mine. I've got to deal with it. Got a few ideas already, something interesting, not the usual run-of-the-mill stuff, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Take it easy, ride safe. See you next time for the first of the oil changes.